Alrighty, what's up, everyone? What's up? Good morning. Good morning. What's up? What's up? Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Today is October the 22nd. It is a Wednesday today. Sorry, rocking no face cam today. My voice is a little bit sore as well, but bear with me. At least today, we do have Tesla earnings that is going to be after hours. Of course, we did have some news yesterday regarding we had some Google news. We also had some news yesterday. Netflix did have earnings in the after hours as well. Okay. Alrighty. What's up, everyone? What's up? Good morning. Good morning. You sound great. Yeah. No, my voice is actually shot. Yeah. What's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. I'm going to talk pretty quiet today. I'll do some more annotations, but at least coming to market open, let's kind of get started. Let's pull up the Forex factor here as well. Alrighty. All right. So yeah, coming into this morning, as you can see, we still don't have any red folder news in the markets. Really, the only thing that we do have is core CPI that is going to be on Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also do have flash services, which is at 9:45. So that's at least for the red folder news. We'll pull up the earnings calendar here as well. So as you can see right here, as for the earnings calendar, we have a couple earnings. Specifically, we had Netflix after close. That was yesterday. And then on Wednesday, which is today, we have Tesla after close as well, which is really going to be the primary earnings that's really going to kind of dictate what's going to happen this earnings season. Netflix yesterday, we dropped around 7%. So we'll take a look at this name. And then, of course, we'll take a look at Tesla tonight and then tomorrow morning to see the reaction that we have after earnings. So this is going to be key coming into today, which is going to be after close. Alrighty, so yeah, coming to market open here for the overall markets, basically the exact same levels that apply for yesterday here as well. So coming into today, key levels that we're going to have marked out is just going to be this Wednesday's high. So what we like to see is really the reaction that we have off this level. So based off of the hourly chart, if you can maintain above your Wednesday's highs, you can see a potential push up and towards your all-time highs, which is your 6,800. If we break underneath your 6,760, then potentially we can see a mean reversion back towards the downside. So coming into today here, if you go into the lower time frames, as you can see, it's fairly clear. So what we're going to mark out previous day lows. If you can maintain above your 67.65, potential push up and towards your previous day highs and above. As I mentioned, if we break underneath, use this level as potential resistance, then we could see a little bit of a continued push towards the downside. All right. Let's go into the SPY chart. Yeah, that's so funny. I'm not sure what's wrong with my throat. Like, I don't really feel sick, but my throat's been sore for like a week. And then yesterday I talked for like 5 hours and then I just kind of lost my voice yesterday. But at least for this, this SPY coming into today, key level that we have is your 670. So your 670 is going to be key coming into today. You can see we have multiple touches. If we do want to maintain bullish stance above your 670 for a potential push up and towards your previous day highs and above, which will be your 674. Similar thing here. If we break underneath your 670, potential continuation towards the downside underneath your 670. So this is going to be key coming into today. 670 here on the higher time frames. Exact same thesis as the ES. In my opinion, right, this one looks fairly bullish. We should see a push up and towards your all-time highs, which is going to be that 674. So what I like to see here for the SPY chart specifically, maintain above your 670 for a push up in towards this 674. So I'd like to see that occur here on the SPY. We don't have any red folder news, but we'll see if we can gravitate up and towards that level. Alrighty. So now we're on the NQ chart. This is on the hourly time frame. As you can see, we end up pushing up in towards our all-time highs yesterday. So as you can see here, we have a key level. Currently, we have a couple of reactions off your all-time highs. What I would like to see now is one of two things: either the break above your previous all-time highs for continuation, or the potential retest off of our Wednesday's highs of last week. So really only two scenarios I'm looking for on the NQ coming into market open. Either scenario is good here as well. If you go into the QQQ chart, go back onto the hourly chart, similar thing here, right? Key levels I have marked out. Wednesday's highs from last week, I actually marked out your previous day lows as well. And then I've also marked out your previous day highs, which is our 613. So if you go back onto the 15-minute time frame, we can mark out our previous day highs, multiple touches, 613 here. Plus we have our previous day lows. So a couple scenarios played out coming to market open. Bounce off your previous day lows for a continued push back towards the upside. Another possible scenario, break above your previous day highs, is in play for a push towards the upside as well. If you do want to see some downside, only possible scenario is going to be now underneath your previous day lows. Maintain underneath your previous day lows for a potential push down in towards your Monday's lows and essentially your last week's highs. So if you are interested somewhat in shorts coming into today, I'll be a little bit more cautious, but you can be looking for short positions underneath your previous day lows, and if it can stay heavy underneath that key level here as well. Besides that, I'll be more keen into looking for the potential bounce off this 607.50 for a potential push back up and towards your previous day highs. All right. Okay. Now let's go on to some of these tech names that we have. Actually, let's just go on to a couple other let's go into the semiconductor ETF. So as you can see right here, this is the SMH. We have a couple reactions here off your this 348 key levels that we have. It really is this previous all-time highs. You can see we have multiple touches here off your 348, couple reactions. What I'd like to see here now is either the high or low be built off of our 340. It'd still be fairly bullish here as well, or the break now above your all-time highs. So as you can see here for the SMH, a couple pullbacks here, AMD pulling back, NVIDIA pulling back as well, and a couple of these other semiconductors. So semis kind of pulling back here as the markets are moving higher. So I'd be a little bit more cautious on these ones. But overall, as I mentioned, higher lows be built off your 340, or now it's going to be the break back above your all-time highs. Let's go on to some of the tech names that we have coming into today. As I mentioned yesterday, there's not too many things I'm looking for, at least specifically yesterday. At least for the higher time frames. We had a couple names I was somewhat interested, but overall, yesterday coming into market open, a lot of the time frames, at least the higher time frames, were kind of lagging behind the overall QQQ. As for AMD, this one's still fairly bullish here. I'll be a little bit more cautious, but AMD now the key level is still going to be this previous all-time high. So as you can see, we have multiple touches off this 240, still maintaining above this higher low key pivot point, which is our 235. What we would like to see here on AMD, as I mentioned, really the break above your 240 for any sort of continuation higher. If we reject off this level or potentially break underneath your 235, then a potential mean reversion here is in play here on AMD. But if we can reclaim and hold above your 240, then I'm going to lean a little bit more towards the upside. So that's what I have on the hourly chart. If you go back into the 15-minute, similar thing here. As you can see, multiple touches, We also have your previous day lows marked out. If you want to see some upside, one of two scenarios: bounce off of your previous day lows, or now it's going to be the break above your previous day, this previous all-time high is 240 for this continued pushback towards the upside. So this is what I have for AMD, the two scenarios that I have played out. As I mentioned, for downside, I'm really only interested if it can break underneath your previous day lows. That's going to be key for me, 235, or if we had like a sharp reaction, which I don't like as much. So for AMD, I'm still going to maintain a bullish stance as long as we can maintain above this 235 here on the higher time frame. So that's what I have coming into today. As you can see, it's consolidating a little bit more now, but we're still fairly bullish, as I mentioned, right? Higher lows being built. Until we can break underneath, right, I would not flip bearish, right, because it's still fairly bullish here just based off the market structure. So that's what I have for AMD coming into today, at least for intraday price action. Kind of just consolidating so far this week, so it's going to have to get back above this 241. All right, let's go on to Tesla. So Tesla, higher time frames, just right back in towards a key level from last week. Now it's just kind of consolidating before earnings. So most likely it won't do anything until we have earnings, which is going to be in the after hours. So for Tesla, key levels that we're going to have marked out is just going to be this 442. So as you can see, we have multiple touches, 442. Now we like to see this level be used as support, which currently you can see we're holding for this continued push back up and towards your previous day highs and above. So as you can see right here for Tesla, as long as you can maintain above your 442, I like to see this push higher. Really, it doesn't really matter what I mark out on Tesla today just because it has earnings in the after hours, but breaks underneath this 442, potential mean reversion back towards the downside. So as you can see here for Tesla, as I mentioned, we do have earnings, so we'll just see what happens in the after hours, but it does look fairly bullish, reclaiming above key levels. Anything can happen, but we'll see what shapes up coming into close. Sorry, what happens with earnings in the after hours. So Tesla, don't trade this one today. IV is going to be super high. Unless you're planning to look for an earnings play, then I'll be a little bit more cautious. Let's go into Apple. Okay. What's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Sorry, yeah, my throat is a little bit sore. Tequila shot with honey. Yeah, I'm drinking some like lemon water. Usually I just do hot water, but I was like, oh, I have to do like lemon water at least today. As for Apple, the key levels that I have coming into today is just going to be your previous all-time highs pivot points. So for Apple, I do like this one here on the higher time frames. It's going to be the retest of our 259.50s, our previous all-time highs. So as you can see here, based off the higher time frame so far, a couple reactions are very close to it here in the pre-market. The levels that I have marked out on Apple coming into today is just going to be your previous day lows and our previous all-time highs. So as you can see here, I have a couple scenarios I'm going to be looking to play out here on Apple. Either the reclaim, this is the number one scenario, reclaim back above your previous day lows for a potential push back up towards this 264. Scenario number two, potential bounce off this 259.50s for a push up and towards your previous day lows is in play as well. So this is at least for the upside. As for potential downside, which I'm not interested in, Apple's at all-time highs, you could see your previous day low retest for a push down in towards that 259.50. That's also in play here as well, so you can keep that in mind. Let's just kind of mark out this general level, and we can drag it over. So previous day lows, touch here, basically your previous day close from Monday. So this is a very key level here on Apple, 262. As for Google, so Google yesterday, a couple news catalysts kind of dropping. OpenAI all of a sudden dropped all the way towards the downside, right back towards the highs, and then plus you had some news in the after hours as well. So for Google, higher time frames, as you can see on the hourly chart, is still fairly bullish. Fill load. So as you can see here for Google, kind of just came up, rejected off a key level. Yeah, rejected off a key level here. This was yesterday or the day before. We're still technically bullish here on Google. But now if we do want to see some upside, it's going to be the break above your 257. If we ultimately reject off this level, we're just going to come right back towards the downside. So 257 is going to be the key level we are going to have to break and hold above here on Google, at least on the hourly chart. So this is what I have here. Hourly chart, 257 is going to be key. Let's go on to NVIDIA. NVIDIA, really not too much to talk about. You can see a lot of these names are actually consolidating. So let me just grab some water. So yeah, at least for NVIDIA, a lot more consolidation here in the past week or so. Key levels that I'm going to have marked out now, primarily this 184 along with this 179. So until we can break outside of this range, I'll be a little bit more cautious in trading this name. Other key levels we can have marked out is going to be equilibrium 182. So at least coming into today, let's kind of zoom in just a little bit. Key levels that we have marked out 182. If you want to see some upside, reclaim 182 at a minimum for a potential push higher. Another possible scenario, push all the way back down in towards that previous day lows and push back towards the upside. If you do want to see some downside, potential pop and fade off your 182 for a push down in towards this 179.50s. So that's what I have for NVIDIA. Really, it's just been consolidating. Usually right after having news not too long ago, this one really hasn't done too much. So really a lot of these names after this big drop, I kind of talked about this a couple days already. I usually talk about this every day, but basically we had a big drop on Friday 2 weeks ago. Ever since then, a lot of these names have been just consolidating. So that's why we haven't had too many nice higher time frame setups, just because the Qs with the tariffs, basically with the markets back at all-time highs, nothing else is at all-time highs. So you can see we're just kind of consolidating now. Okay, let's go on to Amazon. All right. Amazon, I like this one yesterday. So we end up having a nice push in the pre-market within the first 5 minutes of market open as well. Nice kind of push towards the upside. So for Amazon, we end up having a nice kind of push higher, ultimately taking out a couple main objectives, which was primarily your Monday's highs of last week. And now you can see we had this nice pop, but ultimately we're just going to come right back down for essentially the retest of where we broke out from. So go back onto this. So coming into today here on Amazon, the key levels that I'm going to have marked out is just going to be this 218.50. I also really don't like this setup here now just because we did have some news in the after hours. So all right, so for this ticker coming into today, 218.50 along with this 220.50. So for Amazon, either the bounce off your 218.50 or the reclaim back above their 220.50. Either scenario, as I mentioned, with this drop in the after hours, not really the ideal setup just because of the news that we had in the after hours. So I'd be a little bit more cautious if I was trading Amazon coming into today. Okay, so for Meta, right back at a key level, where we're going to have marked out. Previous day highs, 735. So as you can see here, for Meta, key levels that we're going to have marked out, 735. Potential break above your 735, hold above that for a continuation towards the upside is in play. Right, if we look at the daily chart, we are coming right in towards a key level, so I would be a little bit cautious of this. It could very much well reject this higher time frame key pivot point and continue lower. If we get above it, then we could be looking for the retest above your 736. As for Netflix, this is the main one here. So what I have drawn out here on Netflix is basically this range. So we have this range high, we have this range low, and you can see Netflix, we just had earnings and we end up dropping all the way back down in towards essentially a range low here. So coming into market open with this big drop here in the after hours, and you can see in the pre-market as well, there is two scenarios. You can look for the potential pop and fade for a push towards your range low and below, or you could be looking for the potential bounce play. Right now, you can see we're right in towards a key level. Sorry. Right now, you can see we're right in towards a key level, which is basically your higher time frame key level support. But I do expect for Netflix to gravitate down in towards that low. So in this case, let's just get rid of that. These are my key levels coming into today. So for Netflix, right, we have your 1144. We also have your 1134. So for Netflix, if we can, right, potentially, it is going to come down towards this, but I would just be very cautious of a potential mini bounce. I would like shorts really underneath. It's going to be your pre-market lows and also underneath your 1134. So as you can see here, this is basically what I have marked out for shorts underneath your previous level of support. If we bounce here, be cautious of a potential solid bounce right off this low. So at least coming to market open, keep that in mind if you are going to trade Netflix. All right. As for the next ticker, which is Microsoft here. So coming into today here for Microsoft, the key levels that I have is really this 506. And we also have marked out your 515. So for Microsoft, I don't expect too much to happen before earnings, but higher lows are being built. I would like to see a potential kind of pushback up in towards your 530 here and above. But besides that, on Microsoft, really not too much to talk about. We're kind of inside of this range. Now we're trying to break outside of its previous day's range. Potentially, we could see a move today here on Microsoft if we can get above this 518.30. So we can mark this out and drag this one over. Okay. Let me grab some water here, and then I'll probably just go over a couple more tickers and then just kind of quickly go over my game plan and then call it a day. Okay, let's see. Yeah, if I'm not reading the chat today, or I'm just trying to conserve my voice here. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, like the thing is, I'm not even sick. It's just because when I came back from last week, I just had a sore throat, and I guess I've been talking too much lately, so that's why yesterday I guess I talked for a little bit too long, and then I kind of lost my voice. But I don't really feel sick. I think it's just my throat's really sore. Okay, so at least coming into today here, let me go over a couple more names. Let me just scan through some tickers here. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't really see too much in the overall markets. Kind of similar to yesterday, markets are at all-time highs. As you can see, everything else really just lagging behind. So a lot of these setups, yeah, are lagging behind the overall markets. Nothing's really pushing higher here with the Qs along with SPY. So I'll just be a little bit more cautious coming into today. The main thing here is going to be Tesla. Tesla earnings after hours. So we had some Netflix big push down. So we'll keep an eye out on Netflix coming into today. Besides that, at least for a long setup, I actually do like the Qs in itself along with SPY. But at least on the tech side, I don't really like too much. We'll keep an eye out on Tesla, as I mentioned, in the after hours. And then potentially AMD for this flat top. I'll be a little bit cautious of this one, but AMD above your 240. And then really Apple potential reclaim is in play above your previous day lows. Besides that, like Google potentially, I'll be a little bit yeah, I honestly don't see that much. We'll keep an eye out on Netflix today just because it did have earnings, potential bounce plays in play, or maybe continuation underneath your key level of support. So yeah, we'll keep an eye out on Netflix, most likely just because it does have earnings. We'll see what happens within the first kind of 10 to 15 minutes on this one. And then, yeah, that's kind of it, at least on the growth side. Palantir, very tight range. Oracle at the bottom of the range. I'll be a little bit cautious of shorting here unless we can get underneath now your 273. We do have some earnings more on like Intel. That's going to be on Thursday. And then, yeah, besides that, a couple of these other names consolidating a little bit more. So at least today, I'm most likely going to call it a day here. Keep an eye out on SPY for a push up and towards our all-time highs. Besides that, right, Qs hold to this previous day lows for a push up and towards your previous day highs. Yeah, AMD top watch, potential break above your 240. Tesla, I really like this one, but of course it does have earnings in the after hours, so I'm most likely not going to trade this one today. And then Apple potential reclaim, and then Netflix. We're going to keep an eye out on this one just because it does have earnings. So I am going to call it a day here. I got some water coming to market open, but yeah, I'm gonna yeah, I'm gonna call it a day here. Hopefully my voice, I can regain my voice in the next couple of days. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me today, and I will see you guys all tomorrow morning. All right, take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Peace.